Hi babies, welcome to Monday's episode. On this week's episode, we are going to be talking about period sex. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, ew, Miranda, I don't want to do that, I will never like that, that's fine. You don't have to like it, and we are all entitled to our own choices and our own feelings. But there are loads of us out there that do enjoy it or that don't really give a F about the blood. So in this video, we're gonna run through a few things. We're gonna talk about how to do it, why to do it, how to make it less messy, and obviously we are going to be covering the best positions for period sex. However, if you are new here and you have not done so already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, because every single Monday at 8 p.m. Central Time is when I bring a video to you. And as you might notice, if you aren't new here, I am not in my room and I am not in my partner's room. So where am I? I am broadcasting from Toronto. Oh boy, I am realizing that this is gonna be a long video because I cannot get my words out. So I'm just gonna continue to film, and if I smash up my words together, then you know it's just because I'm overtired and exhausted. If you guys aren't new here, you can see that my setting is a little bit different, and that is because I am on, I guess we can call it a girlfriend vacation, where I am at a bodybuilding national level show for my partner. So we are landed here in Toronto, and I will be filming from the hotel room for, I think, just this week's episode. And we are gonna segue our way into the topic with starting with why you might be wanting to have period sex. So first things first, if you are a vulva owner, you will be able to relate to this feeling, because when you get closer and closer and closer to your menstrual cycle, your libido gets jacked the fuck up, because our instincts are like, impregnate me before it's too late. And if you are like myself and not wanting that, you might be able to utilize this high libido into some intense, great sex. Obviously, the higher your libido is, the easier it is for you to get turned on. Now, what goes with being turned on? Obviously, yes, pleasure, but an increased chance of actually having an orgasm. Ultimately, being on your menstrual cycle can make you more sensitive, which can be good and can be bad for some of us. And the final why is natural lubrication. Now, I know that kind of sounds but if you don't care about blood and you don't look down, it feels exactly like your vagina's natural lubrication. And it also feels like lube, but it's natural and it's just dyed red. So it's really not that big of a deal. So grow up. Just kidding. If it's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. But this video obviously is about period sex. So we're gonna continue with it as we go, just as if you yourself wanted to engage in the act. But let's dive headfirst into the myth. So the most common myth that there is out there is that you can't get pregnant if you have sex on your period. I am here to tell you right now, in person or as in person as I can be, that that is 100% not true. Yes, it's less likely to happen and it doesn't happen often, but it doesn't mean the potential for pregnancy is completely off the table. So I'm just gonna explain to you some basic parts of the menstrual cycle. So let's say your egg is released at the 14th day in your cycle, goes into the fallopian tube, and can last all the way up to 24 hours inside of the tube. Now you have the sperm, aka what I like to call the swimmers. They can come in and they can last all the way up to 7 days. So having period sex near the end of your period, and if you were to have a shorter cycle, increases your chance of getting pregnant.
I just farted so hard that I cracked my spine.
You're disgusting. So pretty much if you are somebody who ovulates earlier, the higher chance that you have of getting pregnant. Now that being said, on average, usually somebody doesn't want to have sex when they're on their heaviest amount of flow in their period, which tends to be the first few days and then kind of dies off as you go along to finish your cycle. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't give a fuck about the blood, or the mess that it could create and make, then you can have sex whenever you want in your cycle. It doesn't matter. It's up to you because you don't care. But if you're somebody who wants it to be a little bit more tame and less likely to have larger amounts of blood produced and released, then I would definitely recommend having sex near the end. So yes, I'm aware that those two kind of contradict each other, but we will talk about different barrier methods to protect you from getting pregnant later in the video. Now I want to talk to you guys about the best positions to have period sex in. Now you want to be going with gravity, not against gravity. So standing, if you're outside of the shower, is kind of out of the question if you're trying to keep it contained in a controlled area or environment, meaning not having a goddamn murder scene everywhere. Okay, we don't need to look like somebody has chopped you up into a million pieces and there's blood splattered all over the walls and you're drowning in it. Yeah, no, we don't want that. And even if you like blood, I'm also sure you just don't want that because that cleanup is gonna be horrendous. So when in doubt, missionary it out. That is going to be probably the safest bet, as well as spooning and side by side. Now, like I said, if you are in the shower, it is a great option to stand because the water will just rush off of you and go right down the drain. But if we're standing up and we're outside of the shower, you're just gonna create this large puddle and leakage all the way down your legs, and there's nothing gonna be there to rinse it off. Now I know some of you are sitting there thinking, yeah, this does not seem safe. There's a blood everywhere. Now I'm gonna tell you it's not any less safe than regular sex. However, there is an increased risk of you getting an STI if you are the female. This is primarily because your cervix does dilate and open when you are on your cycle. Now, if you are having protected sex with something such as the barrier method, so you're using a dental dam or a condom and you're getting tested regularly, if you're still thinking about that mess, what are some ways that we can avoid the larger mess? Well, first off, you don't have to have sex with penetration. You can just pay attention to the clit, or you can do a mutual masturbation where you are touching primarily your clit, or if you yourself don't care about the blood, then you don't have to worry about anything. There's also the option, like I had just stated, of a menstrual cup. Now, some menstrual cups and some diaphragms will allow you actually to have penetrative sex. Also, like I said, and I will reiterate this, read the back of the box to make sure that you can have penetrative sex. If it does not say anything about it, don't do it. We do not need to call 911 over period sex. We are trying to keep this safe and contained. Now, if all types of vulva sex are off the table, there is always anal, as well as we can revert back to our preteen years or our pre-sex years where dry humping was a thing. That you can still keep your menstrual cup, or you can still keep your tampon, and friction-based masturbation is always really good. And that is exactly what dry humping is, except for you're using your partner with you. If you are planning not having sex in the shower and you are going to do it on a chair or a bed, I definitely suggest laying down a towel. Now, they do make these amazing things called period blankets, and that is specifically meant for when you are on your moon cycle, you can actually just free flow and let it bleed. Now, you can use this for just a regular cycle, or you can use it for sex and your cycle at the exact same time. That way you can just take it off the bed and then throw it into the wash and get all that blood out. If you accidentally get it on your white sheets or just anything in general, or you're trying to get it out of the towel, usually the moon blanket is dyed a specific color because it was created for the bleed. But a common way to get that blood out and get that stain out completely is cold water and a stain remover. Honestly, Dawn dish soap takes like everything out, and like powder Tide is really good if you just make a paste with it and kind of rub it. But the cold water is key so that it doesn't bleed and spread throughout. Oh my god, that was a pun. Haha. I'm so funny. Now, last but not least, I think is the most very important point of them all. It kind of ties in with the why, but it is, what are the benefits? Well, when you're on your period, you tend to get cramping. When you're cramping, your pelvic floor is contracting and releasing. And by having that exercise motion in between the pelvic floor muscles actually can alleviate some of those cramps. When you are having sex, obviously certain endorphins and certain hormones are released, and those hormones tend to allow you to experience pleasure at a higher level while releasing some of those natural pain relievers. But we are ultimately here for the increased sensations, the decreasing cramps, the increased chance of orgasm, and the natural lubrication. That is what we are here for, and we would love it if you're here for it too. It might be the vulva owner that's awkward about having the period sex, or it might be the penis owner. Either way, it's something that needs to be communicated between each other before we make any decisions. Obviously, like I always state, and if I don't, consent is a very real thing, and we should always be asking for consent no matter where we are in our relationships. So if you tuned into this video and not wanting to have period sex, maybe there's something in here that made you think about it or made you want to try it. Now, for me, myself, and I do have to say I like trying things at least once before I knock them. Unless you are somebody who faints really easy and knows for sure, or is somebody who has a really, really bad period and experience extreme cramps and is extremely uncomfortable during the whole thing, then yeah, this might not be for you. But if you feel like sharing, please drop your comments in the section below. I would love to hear your feedback on period sex. Anyways, that's a wrap, babies. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I promise next week I will be higher in energy, and expect a makeup tutorial video coming towards you, because I hear you, I see you, and I'm also here for it. So let's try. All right, like and subscribe, and I will see you next Monday.